Good morning, YouTube. My name is Kenny. Thank you for checking out my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the LTR 474. What we're going to be doing is digging into it, troubleshooting some of the fuel system issues and making sure this one's going to be good and ready to go. We did have a little hiccup. This is what led us to deciding that we're going to dig in here and check the fuel system over and make sure things are going to be looking okay. All right, so first things first, this is my LTR 474. It has had some work done to it, as you can see. There's some custom powder coating and colors to it. But besides that, we're in the motor. So the motor has a JE piston. We're oversized to make it a 474. We're at a higher compression, but we wanted to keep it on pump gas, so it does run on 93. We had the head ported and polished by Bruno over at Qualified. We do have Yoshimura exhaust. We have Yoshimura cams in it. We have the kickstart in there as well as the electric start. What we've run into is I took it for its first ride down the road.
It's my dad.
It hauled down the road and then it hauled coming back. But when I got up to the top of the hill to turn it around, it turned off. It died on me. So sometimes it is a hard start and other times it's not. When you get it started, it seems to want to run fine, but you can rev it, and then as soon as you let off, it'll want to die. So we're going to just check this out and make sure it's going to be okay. I'm going to go through checking the pressures on the fuel pump, on the pressure regulator, as well as cleaning the fuel injector. Those three things should definitely, narrow it down. There are a couple other things that you just need to want to check. You want to make sure you have a freshly charged battery when you're messing with any of this. You're going to make sure your gas cap is good. Some people have complained about gas caps online. If they've been old and they set, they kind of fall apart and that clogs up the fuel system. Our gas cap is fine, so we're not worried about that. Also, we did do a swirl filter delete, so we don't have to worry about the bottom bowl being rusty. One of the upgrades is a billet bowl for that. However, we're not having to worry about that. Basically, we have a clean tank, a good new battery, a good gas cap, and we just have it going straight down to the fuel pump, and we're having some issues. All right, everyone, so before we dig into this, let me show you all what I mean by it being a hard start. Key on, run on. There. So, all right, hard start definition should have this video linked to it, right? So as you see, you turn it, you got to kind of pump and hit and pump and hit. I mean, it's very hard start. So I need to figure out what's going on with this so we can get it to be able to just fire up. So we're going to check a couple things and see what we can figure out. All right, so one of the first things we're going to do is just turn on the key to make sure that this fuel pump is going to run for 3 seconds. 1, 3. So that ran. So fuel pump is priming, it's doing its thing. We have the fuel turned on, so that's good. Let's make sure we have fuel in it. half tank. So that's running good. Next thing I'm going to do is pop off the plug here so I can get to the hose back in behind it here. And I'm going to just squeeze from the front and from the rear. See if I can get the hose off. So you got to have them both pressed in and it's got to go up. There we go. We got to start it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just take this simple 1/4-inch hose, push it over top of that nipple. All right, so understand, my next check, what I'm going to do is just be checking the fuel flow coming through the fuel pump. I'm wanting to say we're going to get like 10 seconds or something like that, 8 ounces, but I did just connect some wires to my battery. You do this at your own risk. I'm not recommending it, but I do just connect some batteries to mine, and I just connect them to the plugs down here to just make sure it's going to work. We're going to do that real quick, and I'm going to see if I get any flow coming through it. All right, so we're going to put the hose down in there. Then we're going to connect and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. About 5 ounces coming through. All right, so for those of you all who do not understand what that means, the actual flow rate that comes out of the manual states that what you want to be getting is 83 milliliters. And I just measured that out in ounces. So I went into Google, typed it into the calculator. 4 ounces equals about 113 milliliters. So I am over. I did find another area online that states you need to get like 8 ounces. So I just wanted to clarify that up. Manual states that it should be 38 milliliters or close to 2.9 ounces in 10 seconds. So flow rate, we're good. All right, so my next thing is I just have a piece of hose here. We're going to see if it works. And I connected a pressure gauge onto the rear end with just one clamp. Like I said, this is not going to be perfect. This is just going to let me know if there's any pressure coming off of this thing. So we're going to take that hose right here that we had on there off at first, and we're going to just feed the bigger one back through here the same way. So it's holding there right a little bit above 55. So this has, you're about close to that 55, 60. So this has good pressure held in here and it's holding. So it's not really bumbling around or moving. So fuel pump is good. We have pressure, we have fuel coming through it. So we're good on that end. Next thing we're gonna do is check the pressure regulator. All right, since we know it's holding pressure, line back off. We're gonna put our clip locking mechanism back on there to hold the hose on because it's under some pressure for sure. Then we're gonna snap our fuel line back down on it. This is a tight area to try to work in. So you get it going down a little bit on there. Then you just make sure your clips are lined up. So now we have our clip lined up, and we're just going to slowly press that down. And it snapped. Here we go. So that's good and locked on. And that's on there locked on. Fuel pump is good. flow coming through it. We also have pressure being held on it. So the next thing what we're going to do is tackle the regulator and make sure it's holding pressure. So we went ahead and disconnected this. Do not push this hose down below the tank, because this hose is just like a siphon. If you tip it over, if there's any splash, it'll go up in there. So if you put this down low, it will leak. But the hose that we just plugged into the top of the fuel pump is this one here, and it goes to the regulator. So what we're assuming is that that amount of pressure of about 60 is coming to the regulator. Coming out of the regulator, we should be able to hold pressure there as well. So an easy way to check it is just go ahead and just disconnect here. Same thing, we're going to press these two clips together and pull it off. As you see, it looks pretty dry, but I'm going to get the clip off, set the clip in here so we don't lose it. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to feed our pressure line. We're going to feed it back on here. Nice and tight and snug. And we're going to look to see if we're going to get any pressure when the key's on. So it goes up at about 45. No. Pressure's falling. Down below 30. So, down, yeah, so. So in order to get this off, we're gonna just go ahead and squeeze the two clips at the bottom of the pressure regulator. Pull the tank up slowly as they unsnap. So that one's off. Tank should be able to slide, immediately forward pretty good, and you should be able to have decent access slightly to the side. All right, so this is the pressure regulator here. We come into from the fuel pump here and go out to the fuel injector over here, but over 45 it bleeds back off the extra fuel and pressure back into the tank. So that's what we're looking at here. So we're gonna take it off. What we're going to be changing is the guts that are in here. So Phillips down here on top and bottom. Drop the screw. Oh well, the kit comes with extra, so I'm happy there. Little gasket here. Pressure regulator will come out. Here's the new one that I had bought offline. I'm going to put a little bit of assembly lube on there, see if that's going to go in a little bit easier for us. Cover. We have a new O-ring. You don't want to use an impact on these. They will definitely strip out your tank. And these got other problems to worry with, so. Here's that pressure line. Do the same thing we did to the other one, get the nipple started. Line up the two clips, then it will just press in on its own. All right. So let's see if we got pressure now. We get it all hooked back up, and we jumped up in pressure, and the pressure regulator is holding at this point. So I'm really loving the look of that. One thing down, let's move on to the next. All right, everyone. So there are a few things that I did do off camera that I want to let you all know that you are going to do if you're going to complete the fuel injection system check. So I did take my injector out days before all this, and I hooked a 9-volt battery up to the two wires that go into the back, hooked a 9-volt battery up to it. And on the other side, I used just a simple tire air valve, pressed it onto the bottom side of it, and I just blew air through it. And then I did the same thing, put a little carb cleaner in there and then blew that through. I did make sure that my time having that 9 volt was very slim because I didn't want to fry anything or mess anything up. 9 volts shouldn't really cause any problem compared to 12. However, I did that. My throttle position sensor, I do have a voltometer. I stuck the positive and negative into the top and bottom wires, and I adjusted it down to it was 0.6. The manual says anywhere between 0.58 and 0.62. So we were right there in spec with the throttle position sensor, and we were right there with the clean injector that we knew was working. Sprayed out really well. Final thing is that I hooked my laptop up with the Power Commander 5, and I adjusted the idle. So the idle is 1800 plus or minus 1. So I adjusted it down to where it was below 2000, and we don't really have any problems with the fuel injection system anymore. But let's get rolling. All right, so we got the fuel pressure regulator swapped, and we saw that it was bad. It wasn't holding pressure, so we got the new one in there, as well as we tested the fuel pump, so it works. The injector worked before. I mean, it ran and everything, so I just assumed it still worked, but I'm going to just give it a run, try and see. The fuel pump prime. All right, everyone, so as you saw, it runs and moves with absolutely no problem. If I drive it and everything, it'll start back up fine. So what we're gonna do now is actually just lift the tank up, take off the spark plug, take a look at it to see if it's lean or not. If it's super lean, what we're gonna do is just hook up the computer to the PCV, Power Commander 5, and maybe see if we can just give it a little bit more fuel so it won't be lean, because God knows I don't wanna destroy this thing yet. So let's get this all wrapped up. So we didn't tighten this up, so that's gonna pull just off, and we're gonna, like I said, keep it up in the air. I'll squeeze these two together. Get that off. Then it should just slide back again. Well, no, gotta get this one. Then we got to just move it over just enough so we can get the plug right here out. I just want to see it. Can't get it to zoom. It's still
rich or lean.
All right, everyone, so we're going to wrap this video up right here. We did reprogram or do some programming with the Power Commander 5. I used my MacBook to do it, and yes, I said MacBook. After doing some research online, I found out how to do that. I downloaded the actual software to a USB drive, which was very convenient, and I used that to make some changes. I did not show that or make any footage of that because I'm not a professional and I don't want anyone to destroy their machine by me showing them how to do this. However, it didn't seem too difficult. I just made some changes on there. And I know if I go into details about that, what's going to happen is all you dyno guys are going to be like, oh, he did it wrong and that's not how you're supposed to do it. So, boom, I'm just not going to do it. My thought process is this going to be really, really, really good? Absolutely so. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. The majority of you carburetor guys out there who do some tweaking and change some jets and do the air fuel screw on your own, it's not perfect either. So this runs great, it does amazing, and I absolutely love it. Right here in this box, what we have is the new plastics that are going to be going on it, but we're going to be doing that in the next video. Thank you everyone for checking out this video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.